Alright. So, it, finally happened, didn't it? Okay, I have no idea how to begin a video like this. I've never really made one like this before, and I didn't even really consider it a priority to think about how I would ever make a video like this, just because I don't know. I never really saw what happened last week as a likely reality. The amount of support I've been receiving from you guys for the past couple years it's humbling. But lately, it's gotten almost overwhelming. The past 72 hours have been pretty emotional, and even though I don't believe I take this channel seriously enough to deserve this much attention, I also don't want to undermine how important I might be to you. But there are channels out there that are simply better than mine. I'm really not that big of a deal in the grand scheme, but I do think I've reached a certain point as a creator where it's starting to feel weird not paying any of it forward in some capacity. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to list some underrated channels with content similar to mine that don't really get the attention that I think they deserve. I'm also going to try my best to stay away from more established channels like Vadi, Indie Mouse, Mossbag, Limit Breakers, and Joseph Anderson, just to name a few. Because as deeply and as dearly as I love all of these guys and the videos they make, mere lip service from little old me isn't going to be nearly as impactful as it will be on the channels I'm about to mention. The first channel I'd like to spotlight here is a channel named 10 More Minutes, and it seems as though I'm not the only one that's discovered this diamond in the rough lately, because apparently they've been listed by multiple sources as one of the platform's most noteworthy gaming channels on the rise. It's a channel that I would call Game Grumps-esque insofar as a large part of the commentary and the comedic value behind it usually revolves around two people in a room together just tossing jokes around and sharing their love for video games. And despite being some of the most genuine content on YouTube currently, in my opinion, stuff like that doesn't get nearly as popular as it used to anymore. And I don't know, I guess that's why I like this channel so much. The way they commentate and just bounce humor off of each other is a pretty solid reminder of what 2013 used to look like for YouTube. Everyone had a 5-second long animated intro because that was just what you did. If their 174 episode long Hollow Knight playthrough doesn't keep you busy enough, they've also went through other related games like Shovel Knight, Gree, Blasphemous, and Bloodstained, just to name a few. Although I would recommend their Hollow Knight content to start, they have some great longer form content that's really kept me staying for a while. Up next is Lost My Sanity, and I'm not sure if that should be interpreted as a statement of dismay or acceptance. This channel is mostly Soulsborne related with some intermittent off-the-wall content every now and then just to keep you guessing. His recent content is mostly stream VODs from his Twitch, which are just as equally entertaining in my opinion as his usual shitpost content, which I would place somewhere around the area of channels like Young Maestro or Fighter PL, only much more underrated in my opinion. Watching videos of this guy taunting and owning Dark Souls hackers in such a savage way that it could be solidly argued as a form of cyberbullying never really gets old. His humor during streams is just sarcastic enough for you to pick up on it while still retaining that dry delivery sound that a lot of people seem to like my content for. And if you're looking for the reason behind his channel name, I don't know, I'm not completely sure, but the Adderall-fueled, sentence-long titles of his streams gave me just about all the answers I needed. He has a really nuanced sense of humor that wouldn't work nearly as well if it were coming from someone else, which makes some of this channel's commentary really special in my opinion. It's definitely not a channel you want to sleep on. Check it out. This next channel I've decided to shout out here is probably a creator that a lot of you have already heard of. Perpetual Noob and his Hollow Knight videos are quite honestly a breath or two of fresh air just because of how different they are. It's one thing to simply write a video essay discussing why games like Hollow Knight are as great as they are, but Noob actually goes out of his way to slow footage down to really accentuate what he's talking about. His boss discussion series revolves around analyzing the movesets, patterns, and animations of some of Hollow Knight's most iconic and punishing bosses. A lot of these analyses are slowed down to frame-by-frame speed, which reveals a lot of hidden details and extra effects on certain attacks that often go unnoticed by common players, who are already too preoccupied with getting their shit pushed in by a giant bush with a face to, really care. I know a lot of people who follow me also happen to know about Perpetual Noob as well, but his boss discussion series seemed to, I don't know, it looks like things have just taken a dip as it continued, without any noticeable sacrifice to its quality, which is kind of unfair. So, hinging off of the assumption that you're already subscribed to Perpetual Noob and know who he is, consider this a reminder that this channel exists and is totally worth your time. This next channel I'm listing is one of those channels that seem to get massive traffic off of one single video to the point where people have less trouble remembering the video title than they do the actual channel name. So to keep things simple, I'm just going to show you this thumbnail right here and say, this guy that made this video. Ivan, this guy makes a couple Hollow Knight videos every now and then, and you have likely 1, seen this video in your recommended section, 2, not watched it, and so I am 3, telling you to in fact watch the whole goddamn thing. It's got some criticism for some tiny inaccuracies, but with a game as cryptic and as anchored in interpretation as Hollow Knight, that's honestly just bound to happen with just about any lore-related discussion you can have. And God knows I'm no stranger to that, so. Hollow Knight lore in 7 minutes is undoubtedly his most popular video, but although this channel uploads sort of infrequently, I feel like this guy is kinda sitting on some massive gold here. There's another very interesting commentary video he's done, personifying the struggle of the common artist and their obsessive need for everything they create to be perfect and pristine on every level, and how that ultimately hinders their content. Okay, so I mean, it's actually just a 2-minute video of him drawing Kirby and erasing it over and over again. But it's practically the same thing. The commentary is there, it's just watch it. It's funny, I promise. This next channel is one that I've been meaning to spotlight for a while, but it seems in my procrastination to do so, he's actually carved out a pretty decent-sized Hollow Knight audience for himself. RLlier mainly focuses on tutorial-style videos for those who are familiar enough with Hollow Knight to know it's a game, but not familiar enough with it to know how to get past certain parts. And if you weren't amused by that description of a tutorial channel using the most words possible in a single sentence, then a much simpler explanation would be, RLlier is a Hollow Knight tutorial channel. Fucking bam, there you go. But he's also a little more than that. See, I found Hollow Knight pretty early on and didn't find myself in much need of tutorial content because by the time that content became a popular niche, a large majority of people who picked it up immediately after release, me included, had already beaten it. So it wasn't until after I had already ran through a couple times when I found RLlier and actually started digging a lot of his commentaries. Simply put, if you're new to Hollow Knight, he's probably the one channel I would recommend to you first. His video formats are simple, easy to follow, and they honestly never get old. Spotlighting this channel feels sorta like trying to reconcile with a high school friend from 10 years ago. You know he should be given attention at some point, but you haven't yet figured out how to reach out to him without any surrounding context to make it less awkward and random. My next channel I've wanted to spotlight for a decent amount of time, but never really had the opportunity to actually do it, would be the Parry God, another Souls-related channel that uses both in-game and modded tools to capture some of the greatest, most cinematic shots I've ever seen anyone else capture in a FromSoft game. If you're a fan of some of Vaati's stuff, this name is probably kinda familiar to you, as he's been pretty openly involved with steering the ship on some of Vaati's heavier edits. But it wasn't until I actually began poking around YouTube a little more when I actually found out he had his own individual channel that he worked on. And honestly, it's sort of mind-blowing just how much grind he puts into his short films. One peek at his descriptions alone will verify that much. Everything from map editing to retextures all the way to manipulating the lighting of the game itself. There are tools he lists in the description that basically turns the game engine into a set designer, and it's just mega impressive to me. He just released another Dark Souls related short film called Self just last week, and he does an insanely great job of capturing some really good angles on some of his characters. Just straight up, this dude uploads some of the best Souls content in my opinion, and has been for a long while without much recognition, so please just give this guy a look. I don't know, maybe I just have an affinity for Let's Play channels, and if I watched enough of them, maybe I'll just unlock a time rift or something in the universe that'll magically teleport me back to 2013. But whether or not time travel is actually plausible, I believe I had scratched a much needed Let's Player's itch when I stumbled upon the many playlists of the channel Generation Holo. And right from the jump, you can tell from his commentary that the dude just loves playing video games. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it, but there's something about the way he walks you through areas where he tells you everything you need to know about a certain area without any of it seeming forced or repetitive. I watch him just for the enjoyment of hearing someone else play Hollow Knight, Souls, and other related games, but with all the background info he gives you on what he's doing in the game and why it's important to a certain quest line or something, all his commentaries could easily double as walkthroughs. It's mostly casual conversation with a face cam, and whereas I can totally see how that wouldn't be a person's style, there's something to be said for the best commentaries often coming from the ones that genuinely look like they enjoy what they're doing. Whether you're trying to find out how to get past a certain boss, or just wanting to relax and watch someone else play. Generation Holo seems to be a one-size-fits-all channel that has never not entertained. However, if you've seen just about all the walkthroughs you can consume and you're thirsting for something a little more on the try-hard side, the Hollow Knight community especially have some really talented speedrunners that are so talented that it's honestly criminal to not know about them. Whether it's Monstaller's blinding fast run-through of all the Godmaster Pantheons, or Fireborn's Floor is Lava challenge in the Path of Pain, because apparently the laws of gravity just aren't good enough for this bastard. But there's one speedrunner in particular that I don't believe has nearly the attention for everything he's done. Looking at Krythm's channel, it's mostly just Hollow Knight speedruns, but there's something interesting about this channel to me in particular. There's a noticeable amount of progression starting at the beginning of his channel to his more recent videos, and you can see him slowly shaving off a few seconds of his final time with every attempt. And it's not often where you get to see evidence of one's practice paying off that's, I don't know, this tangible, I guess? Additionally, he uploads smaller clips of himself from time to time doing certain strats, moves, and animation cancels that tend to save speedrunners a lot of time. If you're a speedrunner in training, or if you just want to live vicariously through someone that's 10 times better than all of us at the game, then yeah, feel free to check out the current world record holder for fastest Hollow Knight speedrun. He's got some great stuff. I'm not sure if this one technically counts, because, well, some of his tracks and remixes have gotten better traction than my content probably ever will, but I've decided to throw him on here anyways, because ever since he stopped doing Dark Souls soundtrack remixes, a massive portion of his audience sorta just look like they, I don't know, forgot he existed in some way, which is kind of a shame, because on top of taking legitimate music scores from games that are known for their brilliant soundtracks and somehow making them even more brilliant, Rowe is just as talented when it comes to composing his own tracks. After remixing a lot of the Dark Souls 3 soundtrack, other developers began to notice his momentum and decided to contact him about potential work. As a result, he's composed music for other projects like the Iron Oath and even Death's Gambit. But on top of that, he's also remixed tracks from other Souls games like Bloodborne and Sekiro, and even other high-profile games outside of FromSoft's record like Nier Automata, Final Fantasy X, and Breath of the Wild. I can't tell you how much watch time I've given this guy just by having his music, I don't know, just playing in the background while I'm writing a script or playing another game with the music muted or something. If you're a fan of Souls and haven't visited his channel, there's a good chance you've at least heard something that he's worked on. Lastly, if there's anyone to truly pay it forward to, it's you guys. If the things I've said, done, or represented ever gave a mass of people the size of Reno, Nevada reason enough to click a button and commit to following my content, then I guess the best thing I can do to pay it forward in that regard is just by making the rest of 2020 my absolute bitch, and going forward full steam ahead with new ideals and better content. I don't deserve this. At least I don't think I do. But at the end of the day, whether or not I'm deserving of this much attention isn't really up to me. It's up to the people that think I'm worth following. And to those people, the best way I can convince you of my gratitude is by making the greatest content I can, and by showing you that your attention isn't lost on me. I'm ready to approach the next leg of this adventure with you guys with a head of steam, so let's get this bread. I'm Rusty. I once said the word bitch 148 times in a single video, and I will see you moving forward. Take care.